Dakar Rally returns to Argentina and Chile. In downtown Buenos Aires, the Dakar Caravan assembled for the annual blast through town. The reigning champions all there. Paul de Villiers hoping to defend his crown. But in the end, it was Robbie Gordon who stole the show, leaping over the podium. Problem for one motorcycle competitor, his bike caught fire before the start. The Dakar Rally is now in its second year in South America. Starting from Buenos Aires on New Year's Day, they go up to Colón and then to Cordoba. Immediately after that, they're into the mountains, climbing over 3,000 meters on the fourth stage to Copiapo and then on to Fiambala, into the Atacama Desert, over the Andes Mountains and into the driest desert on Earth. 50 times drier than Death Valley in California. A lot further north this year to Iquique before the return back down to Antofagasta. That's the venue for the rest day. Then the second half getting underway of this 9,000 kilometer adventure to Copiapo and La Serena before we then go back over the mountains after a visit to Santiago, the capital city. Leaving Chile back into Argentina, San Juan, San Rafael, and then on to Santa Rosa. The last of the 9,000 kilometers and 14 stages will then be into Buenos Aires, where the winners will be crowned. The Argentina-Chile Dakar for 2010, same places, new adventure. Stage 1 was from Buenos Aires up to Colón. It was a road section. But David Fretenier saying it's absolutely fabulous. We did over 300 kilometers and there was somebody along the road all the time. Just amazing. The cars then completed their run into Colón. Volkswagen in flying formation as they arrived into the bivouac. The first stage proper was the day after, from Colón up to Cordoba, a stage that was to warm people up and break them out of their New Year celebrations. The opening stage was shortened a little after the massive amount of rain that had fallen on the area in the previous days. The first 52 kilometres were dropped, but it gave people a chance to really enjoy the Argentine summer. Where else can you watch the Dakar whilst lounging in a massive pool? What a spectacle! The first victor of the Dakar in 2010 was David Castello. He's on a brand new Sherco, brand new bike, brand new team, and victorious. He's not only brave, but he's canny as well. He's the team owner and team manager. Second on the stage, only 3 seconds behind, was Cyril Desprez. The equivalence factor between the 450s and the air-restricted 690s had certainly worked. Mark Comer was also in touch, third on the stage and only 12 seconds back of the winner, Castello. Nani Roma won the first stage, his BMW having been radically tweaked since last year's event. Both him and Peder Hansel into the squad with their experience from Mitsubishi virtually transforming the car. Sainz had chased Roma across the line into Cordoba, happy to get his rally underway in undramatic fashion. Robbie Gordon tried as he could to try and keep up with the rest on the opening test, but slipped sliding through the stage. He was lucky to get away with that and not hit the massive rock on the right-hand side. The two-wheel drive was really hampering the Hummer against the four-wheel drives. Gerland Schischrit was the first of the big hitters, though, to have problems. A mysterious electrical fault losing the Frenchman 58 minutes to eventually get across the line in 84th position. Dutch motorsport hero Jan Lammers has won Le Mans, but this is his first Dakar and he's in a truck. His first stage not going quite to plan. Stage 2 from Cordoba to La Rioja was very wet. Treacherous, slippery conditions were ahead of the drivers. and Nani Roma was first off the line. Roma led into the stage, immediately struggling to get some heat into those sand tyres that should be running at over 100 degrees Celsius. And in the first couple of kilometres, he slid to the edge of the track and rolled down the side of the mountain, so lucky that it stopped before it went over a second time. The leader of the rally was in big trouble. Co-driver was out as Roma was struggling to use every single one of the horsepower to try and get the BMW out. The efforts to get out were frantic, and they made matters only worse with a rock then getting wedged under the front wheel. Eventually he did manage to get the X3 back on the stage, and he had lost 15 minutes. Through all the gloom, Nasser Al-Attiyah won the stage after making the switch to Volkswagen after last year going out whilst leading in a BMW. The Qatari really does want to clinch the Dakar this time around. He has the speed, can he carry it all the way back to Buenos Aires? As the reigning Dakar champion, South Africa's Janil de Villiers was in touch, but maybe a little off the pace in 7th overall. He said it was like trying to drive on ice with those sand tyres. So overall, after 2 stages, Al-Attiyah leading from Sainz and Pederhansel, Miller and Neves in 5th position. The stage to La Rioja was David Fretinier's kind of stage, paying him back for his aggressive nature aboard the Yamaha 450 that he's so used to. Mark Comer's day didn't start so well, with him learning at the start that he was to be penalised 22 minutes for speeding through a village the day before, not what he wanted right at the start of his 2010 campaign. All of a sudden, he was 14th overall. David Castello therefore preserved his lead overall with the new Sherco 450, a fragile 2 minutes ahead of Dupre. For the rally though, it was an odd day, reminiscent at times of a bleak, wintry day in Scotland or Wales. The 182-kilometre blast towards the foothills of the Andes Mountains on the last stage in Argentina for over a week was from La Rioja to Fiambala. For many, the horsepower was to be unleashed. Mark Comer ran into problems though. It was so hot that the bike just stopped and then wouldn't run at all. Castello had kindly offered to help the Spaniard, but was shunned away by Comer, not wanting to rule his former teammate's chances. For 30 kilometres in, the bike was having problems. The engine then just stopped, and I'm now trying to restart it. Hopefully, I can find out how I can do that. And then for one last time, he tried to get the thing fired up. The Spaniard using every single piece of willpower to get the thing started, and then just for one last blast, would it turn over and would it fire? Dupre didn't have a totally clear run himself, but just had less problems than everyone else, posting a lead of 10 minutes after 3 stages. Healthy.
Une vraie étape africaine, quoi.
A real African stage, hard fighting on the bike, physically hard with the heat and a lot of soft sand. We had to preserve the bike, which suffered in the first part of the stage, and over the last 80 kilometres I really preserved the engine. I was riding quite easily. This is how our sport is.
J'essaie de rouler cool, mais ouais, il y a du sport.
Yamaha have entered the Dakar again with their 450cc machine. David Fretinier's experience over the past few years making a strong and tough bike, and that left Helder Rodriguez in 3rd. Overall, after 3 stages, Dupre had the advantage from Castello. Rodriguez, Luca Manca, a rookie on the Dakar in 4th, ahead of Alain Duclos. Defending champion on 4 wheels, just like the 2-wheel champion, was running into trouble. De Villiers was only a handful of miles into the stage when it all came to a shuddering halt. It ended the car onto its nose, and when it came back down to earth, it just didn't want to fire. As much as he and co-driver Dirk von Zitzewitz tried, it was a no-go.
There seems to be a problem with the engine at the moment, so I'm not quite sure what it is, but we cannot continue. I think we have to wait for the truck and see.
He had to just wait and wait for the truck. He lost nearly 3 hours, and with it surely the Dakar title. But it was Stefan Pederhansel who won the stage, making it 3 winners in 3 stages. For the Frenchman, he won his first stage on a bike 22 years ago, and this was his 52nd stage victory. That is why he was a 9-time Dakar champion and chasing win number 10. On board with teammate Gerland Schischerit, it was a battering stage for the crews. He and co-driver Tina Turner giving us some idea of how tough it is. But the opening stage victor had a massive crash. Nanni Roma unsighted over a hill, dramatically dropping down a cliff face on the other side. Later that evening, his stricken BMW was literally dragged into service. For the former leader, he was out of the rally, not only with a wrecked car, but an injured hand as well.
Es increíble cómo cambia esta
It's
carrera
just
de-
incredible how this rally can change right from the beginning. On the first day, I was so very happy, and now I'm out of the rally. It's a very, very sad day for me, but at the same time, I'm very happy for my teammates Gerland and Stefan to be doing so well.
Van muy bien. Y nada, esto es el Dakar.
Over the Andes and into the Atacama Desert, the driest place on earth, 50 times drier than California's Death Valley, and with the pass over the mountain at nearly half the height of a cruising jumbo jet, there were some stunning views to be had. It was as if at times this rally had been transported to another planet. Mark Comer was keen to move on and turn around his 42-minute deficit to the overall leader, Cyril Dupre. And he did just that, jumping 2 places up the overall standings and into 6th. So where did this leave the overall leader of the rally, Dupre? The night before, he had made some makeshift mods to his KTM in an effort to aid the cooling. And it worked on the day when it was 48 degrees in some places. He continued to lead by just 9 minutes ahead of David Casteau. A new leaf had turned for Robbie Gordon as he blasted through the 100-mile stage to win by just a single second. Just like Flash Gordon, he was back. Gordon was certainly into the groove, and the Hummer was flying through the desert. American Mark Miller with his Volkswagen, he finished second in the 2009 Dakar, just 10 minutes off a tantalisingly close victory. This year, he's trying to turn it around and go 1 place higher, but was stuck on the top of the dune. South African co-driver Ralph Pitchford doing the honours, getting out, getting dusty, and getting moving again. Miller eventually finished the stage in 6th position. But for others, there were more fundamental problems. The dunes had really started.